Welcome to Washington Whispers. I'm the editor, Paul Bedard. Well, you know, one of the smartest, nicest, and most engaging personalities in Washington is C-SPAN founder Brian Lamb. He's also shy when it comes to crowing about himself, even when he's got an accomplishment to talk about. Case in point, his newly reissued book about presidential gravesites. Who's Buried in Grant's Tomb is a great and unusual walk into presidential history. Lamb tells me he visited every grave for the book and also went to virtually all vice presidential burying places just for good measure. After all that research, I wanted to know which are his favorites, and here's what he said.
My top five are the following. Calvin Coolidge. It's in this tiny little village of Plymouth Rock, Vermont. His father lived there, and when Harding died, Coolidge was sworn in the middle of the night by his 72-year-old father, and as the legend goes, went back to sleep, got up the next morning and went to Washington. And in no order of preference, FDR, Ronald Reagan, James Madison, and LBJ. Actually, the five that I picked, with the exception of Reagan, are all on the home property. I mean, LBJ's at the ranch, and that's where he died. He was only 64 years old, which is hard for me to believe. I'm 68. I look back on those days, and you know, he died of a heart attack and had a horrible time after he left office. And his is there right along the Purdon alleys that he used to talk about all the time, buried with the rest of his family. And Madison is on his, you know, it's a little cemetery below the hill there at Mount Pelier down in Virginia, which is right outside of Orange, Virginia. Right. And Dolly's buried there and other relatives. Again, these are home settings. Reagan is on the top of a mountain looking down over Simi Valley, and that looks just like the ranch looks. I don't know if you ever went up to the ranch, but it's the perfect setting right at the library, and it really is a very peaceful setting, and it looks like him. And then FDR is buried at Hyde Park, which was, you know, a huge center of activity back then. It's right along the Hudson River, and he's buried there with his wife and his dog Fala. It's the simplicity of all these sites, I think, that there are others that are simple, but these really reflect the feel of their lives and where they lived.
That makes a big difference, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. You've got, at Arlington Cemetery, you've got John Kennedy, which, with all the family members and all that, creates a much different feeling than these places do. You also have only one other president, which is odd because no one ever visits that president, but that president served for a very long time, including the only president was Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Taft. And no one visits that one, but, you know, in this day and age with celebrity and all, they all visit the Kennedy gravesites.
The book also has a new and interesting foreword by historian Richard Norton Smith, one of Lamb's grave-hopping buddies.
Any gravesites if it hadn't been for your marvelous. And now I have to turn around and be similarly full of dead presidents.
You got to check it out. Thanks for listening. I'm the editor, Paul Bedard.